And so we find ourselves at Deep Cove with the owners, Elyse and Tasem Ramadan, who opened the winery on June the 1st to some friends. How was that opening party?
It was amazing. It was amazing.
How many people do you figure showed up?
Around 100.
It felt like more like 150. But I mean, is it like maybe opening a Broadway play or a musical or a movie or something? Were you nervous? And what were the comments like?
We were nervous, yes, because it is opening a place that means so much to us and that we put a lot into. But it went very well. The reception was good.
And the wine's poured well. How did this come to be? Can you give me the short version of the narration of how you came to own this property?
So I think it's just out of passion. It just makes sense for us to get into it. Community was a big thing for us, so we figured wine is a good center for community, building a community around it. So having a winery where people can come in and enjoy a glass of wine is something that's big for us, especially with her background. With my background, I studied biochemistry at UVic, so it completely up my alley.
Were you able to use those talents, those UVic talents?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Every aspect of it, critical thinking to the lab. Yeah.
Elyse, what's your background?
I was a psychiatric nurse.
Oh, that helps.
It does, yeah. People like to talk when they come up to the bar, so I can help them there too. Good wine, good conversation.
Now, what did you inherit? Because I saw the picture of what had been Muse Winery. And was in the same position. The vines were in their spot. You completely rebuilt it, yes?
Yes, yeah. It's just clean slate. We decided to renovate. That includes everything, inside and out. New wine, new just projection, really.
New attitude.
New attitude and new image, yeah.
On the back label, we'll get to the front label in a second. The back label literally is a map, and it tells people exactly where you are. So you might want to explain that to the radio audience.
Where we are?
Yeah.
We're in Deep Cove.
Yeah, but as I say, if you're in Vancouver, you know where Deep Cove is. So explain, if you're coming off the ferry.
The one that counts.
Well, you come down, if you're coming from the ferry, we're 5 minutes away. You come down the highway, head down Wayne Road, and off of Tatlow.
Is there a sign there that says winery?
There are winery signs that have not been updated, and we hope they will be soon. But if you follow the grapes, it'll bring you here.
Deep Cove. Now, the logo on the front. I was guessing at the tasting room counter, and I thought I saw an eyeball in there or something. But it's an interesting story there.
Yeah. So my husband and I both have Egyptian backgrounds. Tasem was born there, and my dad is from there. So we wanted to give a little nod to our backgrounds, and we did that with the symbol. And you want to talk about the symbol?
Mm-hmm. So the symbol is actually the sun god, which is Ra, which is just a circle, and then the eye of Horus, which is actually an eyeball, like the one you see. So we decided to make a spin on it and make it more modern, and that's what we designed this.
What wines did Egypt give us? Syrah?
Syrah would be out of Iran, but it was there too.
Sure, yeah. That area anyway.
Yeah.
You had little or no wine background, except for being wine fans?
Yeah, little to none. This is definitely a new venture for us. But again, with Tasem's background, we feel quite confident, and now, having tasted all the wines, are very confident in our abilities here.
But you needed a consultant. You needed someone to see you through these first months in the growing season.
Absolutely.
Who did you find?
So we have, of course, Pascal Madavone. He's a big name in Okanagan, so we seeked him out, and he was very receptive to the idea of helping us. And we also have John Kelly from Glenterra. He helped us with being sustainable and just getting reagents, getting help with new equipment.
What do we know about this terroir, this soil? What's going on here in Deep Cove?
So it's clay underneath, and also it's kind of a hot pocket in this area, because we're right by the ocean. The cove here is very warm, and then we have Horth Hill up there, so we're kind of really protected, and with the clay it's perfect for this vineyard. What
were the vines that were in the ground at the time? What did you buy? What was planted?
Here there was Ortega, Pinot Gris, Marichal Foch, and Schomburger.
Okay, so those are in bottle.
They are.
Right. Hey, tell me about the rosé right now. I need to know about the rosé.
Is that a good thing? Yeah. Okay. So the rosé is a direct press rosé out of 100% Pinot Noir.
Explain the difference between Saignée and direct press.
So direct press is you put it in a press with very minimal contact. Saignée is you kind of put it as a red with the skin, but then you just, from the bottom of the tank, you pull out some that you decide to make a rosé out of.
My first question to Elyse was, well, how many cases did you make? And apparently you have those numbers in your head.
60.
60?
60 cases.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, no.
I made it sound like there was more. I made it sound like there was more.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
60 cases.
So the 60 cases of the rosé. Okay. I'm telling you now. This basically is a part of the show called "How Hard Do I Have to Chase?" So we're going to start with the rosé. 60 cases. It's a beauty. The Pinot Noir is from the Okanagan, and it's a gorgeous bottle of wine.
Thank you.
Slightly darker than I'm drawn to, but I know that that's a food wine.
It is. It pairs very well. It's has a good acid to it. So it pairs well.
So the Sauv Blanc, going back to the top of the list, for $20. How many cases of the Sauv Blanc?
It's around 280.
And this is the last time you'll be making it?
We've decided to focus on estate and island whites. I think we do a fantastic job growing whites here.
New French oak.
New French oak, barrel fermented. So I think you've tried it and you said you tasted a little bit of oak there.
Just a tad.
Just a tad, and that's the point. We just wanted to give it a tad to give it a little bit more structure, and I think it came through.
2017 estate and chalet, so some of the from the Ortega comes from across the road.
That's correct, from the Deep Cove Chalet.
Are those their vines?
They are their vines, yes.
But you have a nice, nice back and forth, a handshake thing.
Yeah. So it's a good relationship between us both.
Thank you. The Schomburg, 24 cases. Who is a fan of the Schomburg? Is that gender driven?
I'm finding so far it is a bit gender driven. However, a surprising number of men also are drawn to it. It is a little off dry, so I think it's that hint of sweetness in there that is really making the girls excited.
Tasem, how many cases?
Of the Schomburger, we have 27.
Okay, all right. Keep note of this, please, because it's going to get even better.
I think we have way
till you
less
get,
now.
Wait till we get to the Fauche. So the Fauche is a limited release, as described in the tasting room. Define limited.
6 cases of Fauche.
I said 9. I
No,
had 9.
No, we 6
Why
cases.
9? Why put down 9?
No. 6 cases of Fauche.
6 cases.
6 cases of Fauche.
Okay,
Okay.
you heard it now.
That's called a limited release.
This is very limited.
How old are those vines?
The Fauche are between 15 to 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was guessing 20. And then we get to Alchemy, which is a wonderful blend. Tell us about Alchemy.
So Alchemy is a Merlot, predominantly Merlot blend. It's a Merlot Cab Sauv Cab Franc blend. Initially, when I started working with Pascal about Alchemy, it was a Merlot Cab Sauv blend. But then I decided to add a little Cab Franc, and it was just completely changed into something beautiful.
And this is a South Okanagan fruit, yes?
Yes, it is. It's out of Oliver.
I have a 73 Merlot, Cab Sauv 18, and Cab Franc 9. You can put in as much Cab Franc as you want, because I just love that.
Yeah, Cab Franc is something that it's my favorite varietal for sure.
What's the price point?
$24.
Do you know how many cases without looking at him?
I do not.
Sir?
140.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a better number.
My point, in fact, was that if it's that good now, tightly wound coming out of the bottle, imagine what it would be like if you lay it down for a year or two.
And that's the reception that we've been getting. People have been seeing the potential of it.
It's handsome as hell. It's
thank you.
really good.
Thank you.
Didn't you want to make big reds at one point?
I kind of like softer reds, like Saint Emilion kind of style. So that's what driven me to this. It's more Merlot. It's more approachable than more heavy reds like a Cab Sauv.
But I like heavy red, so he will be making some more like
So
that.
she likes the tannins. She likes her tannins.
Right, she'll be hanging around the cellar. Now, I know what to get her for Christmas.
Yeah, it's
Wine thief.
Yeah,
Wine thief. Okay.
I'm hiding mine.
Now, what you thought being a winery owner was, and making wine was, and the reality of it is, were they different?
Absolutely, completely different.
Where were the surprises?
We knew it would be a lot of work, but I think it's the balance of running a business, being a farmer, and being an artist in the cellar. It was a lot more multidimensional.
And you have to be very adaptable. Things go south very fast, and you have to decide on the spot all the time. So critical thinking, thinking outside the box, how to solve problems is a huge part of this.
If we come back a year from now, how different will the pour be? What will you have added? What will you have taken away?
I think it will only get better because we're learning every year how to make things better. So efficiency is a big part of it. Winemaking, of course, is, we're trying to make the best out of every vintage. So it's only going to get better from here.
You won't find a Sauv Blanc, but you might find a Cabernet Franc,
Yeah.
single varietal.
Nice, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're my best new friend. Is there a website? No, there's no website. Are you on Facebook?
We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
As?
Deep Cove Winery.
That's good. I can find you.
Straightforward. Yeah.
You are the future of this region. Like you literally are starting new, fresh here. In 5 years from now, what would you like to be? What would this place look like? What will it feel like?
I am hoping that it would be somewhere where it's a forefront for the island, right? Like somewhere where it's the first destination where people can start experiencing the whole island. So it's the phase where as soon as you get off the ferry or the airport, it's the first experience.
We can show everyone what the island can make. And
And you want to be a destination, don't you?
We do, yeah.
And that room that you showed us, that's the event room. What's that for?
That room is used for weddings, private parties, meeting space, any type of function really. It's 1,800 square feet, so it's a lot of working space.
And I love the cellar down below because it's also a beautiful room.
The cellar is definitely beautiful.
Okay, if we could get a jazz trio over in the corner of this patio, then we're complete. Okay, if we could just do that.
There
Or
will be a
DJ.
jazz trio tomorrow.
yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, thank you both.
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
You can't tell the story of Deep Cove and these vines and the wines that we've been tasting without actually speaking with Pascal Madawan, who is the consultant, vineyard and winemaking consultant. He has his own company now, pascalmadawan.ca, and he's flown all the way from Penticton to be with us, especially for this interview on Tasting Room Radio. Last time I saw you, you were walking me through the field at Gulmida.
Yes.
And you're still there with them.
A little bit. I do some consulting over there, but I left in June 2000 and 2 years ago exactly.
Was it time for you to become a consultant?
I think so. I worked for 35 years in a winery and vineyards, and a moment I think what I feel when you work in a winery is interesting, very interesting, but you are just focused on the winery or the vineyard. And when you are a consultant, I discover is you learn every day because you discover every day something new. And all the time is a diversity, is a lot of diversity. But for that, I think to be a consultant, you need to have a background and you have to be a little older to do that because you need the experience to understand how that works with the people, with the vineyard, with the winery. Yes.
Does it help if you're crazy?
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
No, I think is totally for me is totally different because I discover every day something.
But you were meant to do this, Pascal.
Yes, but for example, when Tasem a day called me, and Elyse called me, say, Pascal, do you want to visit our vineyard on the island? I say, I never visit a vineyard on the island already, or I never was involved. I mean, you have to discover a new climate, a new staff, to work with Ortega, for example. I never worked before with Ortega. And all the time like that, when I do the consulting, I have a new experience. And every day you learn something new. And that is very interesting. But because I look a lot of winery and vineyard, also I can also help the people because I have a sort of a facilitator. I facilitate the contact with the people because I know more people as the people knows. Because at your clients.
But there's also a very delicate balance that you have, and that is you have your feelings and a drive about what a wine should be, and they have a feeling about the wines that they want to deliver. So somewhere in between, you have to come to a compromise.
Exactly. It's very important first when you have a vineyard, you establish a vineyard, or you make the wine, to ask to your client what they want, what they lack.
Yeah.
Because at the first time is their project, is not my project. That's very important, and we try to focus to check the situation, and I see what is possible or not. But I follow all the time the view of try to follow the view of the owners of the estate, and that is important, very important.
What did you learn about the soil and the terroir here?
It was surprising for me. Is I discover I think is a very incredible terroir for Pinot Gris, definitely, because when I test the Pinot Gris here, is very nice. I think is a very moderate climate for the heat, and that is a big potential. And the same, I discover one varietal I never know before, a little bit taste, but not too much, is Ortega. Ortega is fantastic here on the island, and you have a big potential. And I think there is a big potential for the grapes here. And with the global warming, we never forget that, with the global warming, the island could be more and more a place for vines. And on vineyards, I think that is important.
You see Schomburger in the Okanagan. But
Yes.
this is different Schomburger.
I like the Schomburger here.
Yeah.
It's more delicate, more precise.
Wonderful nose.
Beautiful nose. And I discovered the Schomburger because in the valley there is a Schomburger. I know some very good, but here the characteristic is different. It's more German style because the climate. And but it's also a lovely vineyard. The density is perfect. What also it was incredible here, I find, is the management of the vineyard. And the vineyard is behind you. You can see it's perfect. The tucking is perfect. Shooting is perfect. It's lovely. It's a garden, in fact.
The Fauche. Have you worked with Fauche before?
Never. I discovered the food. I was in charge of. I was working in the lab in Pauillac, and we overseen different estate. One estate was a cooperative, and in this estate there is a Maréchal Fauche on the cooperative, and it was just for table wine, because no appellation, but because there is one of all guys have still a small block of Maréchal Fauche, and it was a table wine. Also, I have a story of Maréchal Fauche. My grandfather, living in Poitiers, have one row of Maréchal Fauche. Impossible to drink. Okay, and here, when we did the Maréchal Fauche, we apply a special process, and I love the Maréchal Fauche here.
Can you make more than 6 cases?
We are going to try to
Could
make
you maybe
7.
get up to 9? Or?
7 or 9. No, it's a process. We understand how it's very important. The Maréchal Fauche is the tannin. I mean, it's very important to limit the tannin, and we find a process how to limit this tannin, because the tannin can be green and hard. The smell, the foxy smell, I don't like. We don't have that on this one.
I have 2 bottles of Quailsgate Maréchal Fauche
Yes.
in my cellar, and they're about 6-7 years old. What's the shelf life on Maréchal Fauche?
Maréchal Fauche depending on the tannin, but it could be for 10 years. Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, now we come to Alchemy, which is a wonderful blend. Tell me about the blend.
The blend of
Alchemy.
is the red.
Merlot.
Merlot.
73 Merlot, 18 Cab Sav, and 9% Cab Franc.
Yes, this wine was definitely for us a blend first, and the grapes come from the Okanagan Valley. We work a lot about the maceration and long aging and aging in barrels. And I think we find the good way to this blend, and I'm very happy by this blend.
I love this blend. Really, this is a signature blend. One thing, doesn't cost anything to dream. If you could plant anything here or up the hill or across the road, what would you plant just to see how it did?
Probably if I plant something here, it will be for myself Pinot Gris. Pinot Gris will be for me Pinot Gris and Ortega, because I discovered Ortega and I love this varietal here. Yes, and for the red, I think in the future we can try Pinot Noir.
Nice.
Yeah. There is some Pinot Noir here on the Vancouver Island. I think there is a potential. And also, the same way, we need to think about the global warming in the future. The weather will be more and more hot. But I think the big potential for this varietal. But Pinot Gris Ortega, I think, is the king here for the white in this here on the island.
Vancouver Island have to have a signature grape to have itself stand out. For example, like New Zealand and Sauv Blanc, does it have to have one grape that
What I think first for the island, when we talk about the island, arriving here in Canada in 2001, when we talk about the island, we don't talk about the wine of the island. It was a sort of, not a joke, but something like that. You know, there is on Vancouver Island, there is nothing. Who knew that? And I think now there is a lot of more and more winery on the island. And I think because of this climate, moderate climate and not too hot, I think now this terroir could be very interesting. And I think there is a big potential for here on the island to get very good wine like Pinot Gris, cold climate vines like Burgundy or something like that. Something big potential.
So here's what I need to know. Tell me about this big deal consultancy that you have now. You have many clients. How many can you talk about, and where are you going, and what are you doing?
When you are a consultant, you are very confidential. And I am here today because we asked to, and it's open, but I have other clients, but is here at Deep Cove Winery is where I communicate about the wine. The others, I have a lot, but I can't communicate about the others because it's confidential.
Oh, come on. We're going to find out, you know.
Yes, we can find out. But is depending what the people ask me. Here, for example, it was when Tasem and Elyse hire me. I propose all the time, if I agree, I can help you for your communication. And they say yes. That means it was open. And when it's open, there is no problem, I can say.
Did you teach them how to do interviews?
No.
Because you have a media consultancy as well.
Yes. No. I have some experience.
Okay. Where will we see you next? When is the next pouring?
The next pouring will be at Deep Cove first here.
Oh, yeah.
And possible in 1 or 2 years, there is I have 2 or 3 projects, for example, in our river. And that will be possible in our river.
We are at the opening of a wonderful new winery in Deep Cove, and strangely enough, it's called Deep Cove. And Pascal Madawan is the consultant, and always welcome on this show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry.
Merci.